my goodness! I was gonna talk loads about Babylon
No!
and he just
Childhood cancer right out the gate.
No, and I don't...
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Crusaders Court. We are back today, dancing and jiving and dancing. As always, I'm your friendly neighborhood community manager, Troy, here to share with you all the wonderful love of CKIII and all things Crusader Kings. With me today, I have a fellow Paradoxian, the wonderful Isabella. Isabella, introduce yourself. Say hi to the people.
Everyone, I'm a content designer on Crusaders Kings 3, and I've been here since last October. And today I've prepared, during my lunch breaks, cramming I've been reading Anna Karenina's Alexiad, which is a book that talks a lot about Norman Sicily in the 1060s, which is one of the highlighted game starts. And I'm going to bring you today some fun trivia about Duke Robert and some of his family in this game start, and possibly talk a bit about historical role-playing and about how history can inform some game design, while possibly somehow concentrating a bit on playing the game at the same time. I'll see whether I can do it.
That's okay. That's why we're here, is to have fun.
You guys probably know from when you clicked on Duke Robert that it says that he's a thief and head of a band of highwaymen before he becomes the Duke of Sicily. But there's a little bit more to it than that, which is that he starts off his life as a nobleman and then intentionally leaves because he's the youngest son, the group of his family, to become a robber and a highwayman. And then he comes back years and years later, once his two brothers have already been counts of Sicily, of Apulia, and he usurps them and then takes control of the duchy. So I think it's really...
would you say that his actual name is Duke Robert?
Oh yes, you've done so much work. No. His real name is the Fox, because he's he's my persona. The thing that I wanted to focus on in this stream a little bit is talking about the Alexiad. So Princess Anna of the Byzantine Empire, Anna Komnenos, she writes this whole book about Robert's life and about Bohemond's life specifically. And so one of the things that I always do in my saves is the most important thing is to marry the princess of the Byzantine Empire to Bohemond of Taranto. And why is this? This is because she, in this book, the reason that she's written it is because she has an enormous, massive crush on Bohemond of Taranto. And it's the thing that never happened, and it's the thing that really should have happened in the first place. So this book is the most famous account of the whole period, right? Not the whole period, but like the Normans in the 1060s. And she starts off the book by saying that, oh, I'm going to write this huge book in dedication to my real husband, Caesar Nicephorus. And she's saying that my husband's died. I'm going to write him this history, which is like going to be the thing that like becomes his legacy. And she spends a little bit of time talking about her husband, but then she very, very swiftly moves on to write an entire chronicle mentioning the life of Prince Bohemond, the famous crusading leader from Norman Sicily.
If you haven't read it, it's all lusty fan fiction. The entire book,
it is
lusty
all
fan fiction.
And so we had this big argument in the Crusader Kings developer team this morning as to whether we would team Bohemond or team Caesar Nicephorus in the upcoming tunnel. Because for every word that she spends talking about her husband, she spends 30 or so describing even how beautiful Bohemond is. There are pages and pages of how beautiful Bohemond is. No, oh my goodness! I was gonna talk loads about Bohemond and he just
childhood cancer right out the gate.
No, and I don't even have a physician. Okay, who's gonna be the physician? Let me...
We are off to a roaring start right here. Oh.
No, this is gonna be bad. I always just appoint some high intellect character. Oh, he's doing okay as your physician. and hopefully Beaumont won't die. Is he gonna be? No, be cautious. I don't want him to die. I want to talk about his first crusade campaign. Okay.
How tragic would that be? Is we've prepared to talk about all this history and this story, and then he just dies. Just jeez.
I wanted to spend ages talking about how he was the best crusader in the first crusade ever. Whatever.
Right
Okay, fine.
Right off the bat.
I'll go on. I should marry. Fine. I'll marry the princess.
Yeah, that's right, everybody.
My other son, and we'll
respects.
pretend that the.
F for respects,
she's
F for
already
Fox.
married someone else.
F for respects, F for Fox.
Okay, whatever.
That's right.
This is gonna continue.
Isabella just crumples up all of her notes and throws them angrily in
Yeah,
trash
no,
can.
okay, so this is what happens when you play Crusader Kings, but history just doesn't happen. If I really was doing historical role-playing, I wouldn't move the camera whatsoever, because Beaumont of Taranto said that he had this amazing military strategy where he could march anywhere really quickly and move his army faster than anyone else. And he called this strategy the quick route.
Ooh.
And literally all it meant is that he wouldn't scout ahead or look or prepare in advance whatsoever what his army was going to do. He would just march them to the point where they were supposed to be and hope that everything was okay. And he was famous for his successes using the quick route.
Well, I mean, you gotta gamble to win, right? Like, roll the dice.
But like, if I was really going for my immersion, what I do, I wouldn't even be like moving the camera or looking around. It's just like you can only look at your realm.
Many of you may die
you're going
to win this battle, and that's a sacrifice I'm okay with. Even
though it seems like he was a bit of an idiot when it came to the ideas of how he would command people when they were on foot, both Robert and his son Beaumont were known as some of the greatest besiegers of all time, and this is because, well, Robert's famous strategy was that he would build siege towers. Yeah, we fabricated a claim. I'm always rightful. He would build siege towers faster than they could be burned, and he taught his men really well to build the exact same siege tower over and over again. So most of the times when he was camped outside of outside of somewhere, he would just keep building the same siege tower, and a lot of people caught on to this and like would send people out to burn them, but it would be they would see, we need to build a little mangonel just to represent this. It would be he would just be able to build them faster than people could destroy them.
Would you say he had a towering intellect? The
famous reason why Beaumont of Taranto was the greatest besieger of all time is because his strategy was not to actually do any besieging, but he would just go to each tower individually and yell up at the guards who were standing there and guarding the citadel, and he would just try and convince them all one by one to let him inside until it worked.
I mean, you're not technically invading if somebody lets you in, so...
So, in the 1081 campaign, when Robert and Beaumont attack the Byzantine Empire, what happens is the Byzantine Empire end up running in circles around them, to the point where they bring up this huge cloud of dust. And then immediately, this is just a tactic to try and distract them, right? And immediately what happens is that Beaumont of Taranto thinks that the Byzantine Empire are actually fleeing just because they're running around them in circles and because they can't see them anymore. And so he leaves his men behind and goes and swims onto an island and starts drinking wine with his friends, because this flanking tactic, during which he's just, all of his army has been obscured in dust, he thinks, just because he loves himself so much, that everyone is running away from him.
It really clouded his judgment?
So, you have some good points. No, we're not doing this. So, yeah, it did cloud his judgment. And as I'm being clouded now by the fact that I'm thinking about history right now. So, yeah.
Everything's going fine. I don't see any problem with what's happening.
I don't see any problem because I can't see anything around me at the moment. Okay. Let me think about the game for a second here. Strategy for the ongoing war. Oh, I love this event where there are games. And I love when we can say we can play both because we're a really great strategist. Anyway.
The best strategist.
We are the best strategists because we build towers faster than anyone and we ask people nicely to let us inside.
And then go swim into the ocean.
And then you go and drink wine in the middle of battles.
Yeah.
That's something. Oh, they should be increasing control. Generosity. So we need to go kind of. Anyway.
Oh no! Again.
I thought he already discovered it.
No, he caught our plot. He didn't discover that we were directly responsible.
I love that he discovered it before, and that. Well, he didn't quite discover it. Like, oh my goodness, it's a crime. Okay, so we're probably getting it in prison.
Yeah,
that's fine.
like last time he just found out there was a plot against him, and he was like, "Who would do such a thing?" And this time he was like, "It was you."
Not one of our former bosses. Anyway, embrace English culture. Oh, that's sweet.
That good for him. You know, good for him.
Yeah. As their strategy to motivate their troops during the war is that they would burn all of their ships and supply lines the second that they got somewhere. So what they would do is that Robert would, once he arrived on a beach, he would just say, we don't need to get back because once we manage to conquer the Byzantine Empire in its entirety, we will be incredibly rich.
Could you imagine rolling up to like an apartment building and like you get there and you set your car on fire and the landlord's like, what? And you're like, I live here already. I don't need a car.
So you only need to once you go somewhere while you're playing as him, you just you stay and then you have to walk back over land.
You live there now. You live there now.
You just live there. Basically, after capturing Antioch, and for a while, once Prince Beaumont is king of Antioch, which is over here, he has to try and escape Antioch to go to France because he's running from the Byzantine Empire. And what he does is he locks himself in a coffin for 5 weeks with a dead chicken's corpse to try and convince everyone that he's actually dead. And so he gets shipped over to France in this chicken coffin incident when he's essentially, haven't we all?
Yeah.
But I love the fact that he doesn't just lock himself in the coffin, but he's like, I need to simulate the stink, otherwise they won't. They won't.
Do you think at some point?
Believe it.
Do you think at some point he started eating said dead chicken carcass out of sheer just trapped in a coffin-ness? He's like,
oh no, because he had people feeding him. People were in on this game while he was getting shipped out. I imagine that they would fit thin slices of processed cheese through the cracks in the coffin or something.
Or cheese product.
They definitely wouldn't do that, but he was getting fed. But I would like to think that he would eat the chicken anyway, perhaps to try and make himself familiar.
You're stuck in a coffin with a dead chicken for 5 weeks. You have to get to their Beaumont. Perfect. So
he's alive.
You're gonna get to the point where you're just like, there's a dead chicken in here. Here we are, I guess.
During the course of the First Crusade, after everyone has been summoned from across Europe, and there are 9 princes who are running the First Crusade, what they do is they stop off at Constantinople, and they're all supposed to swear vows to the Byzantine Emperor that they will give back the land that they're taking from the Holy Land to the Byzantines, because the whole point is that they're reclaiming land that the Byzantines lost, which is this land, right? And so Beaumont refuses to do either the swearing the vows or to eat the food that's there. So the Byzantine Emperor just gives him raw meat because he thinks that the food is all poisoned. The same incident, but when he refused to swear the vows to the Byzantine Emperor, the Byzantine Emperor offered him as a means of please swear the vows to me so that we can just get on with doing the whole crusade.
No.
The Emperor offered him the equivalent of all of the gold that's in the entire Sicilian treasury, which at the moment is doing okay because I'm not thinking of how to spend it. But essentially, the Emperor was like, "Oh, we'll give you all of your money again as a bribe," and then Beaumont was like, absolutely not. I refuse to take it because this is so insulting that you think you can calculate how much money we have. After the ceremony where they're all supposed to swear fealty to the Byzantine Emperor, he then forces his cousin Tancred. During this ceremony, after the whole raw meat eating and the refusing of the additional gold, Beaumont then forces his cousin Tancred to do the whole ceremony again in private, but reversed, so that all of the swearing of loyalty is done to Beaumont. So, like, just because he's so arrogant and he can't stand the fact he had to go through this ceremony where all the people around him, and then reluctantly he himself swears loyalty to the Byzantine Emperor, he forces it to be, like, reenacted at night with people swearing loyalty to him.
Well, when you're the most handsome man in the world, I mean, it has to happen.
And you're dead. No. As my child died, I placed a solitary, mournful chicken in there with him.
Here you are, child.
Oh, we finally won something.
Would you say it was a foul funeral?
I didn't expect that I would be able to pay attention to my gameplay during this, and I was right. But I hope that people have enjoyed hearing about the dead, irresistible mounted Celt prince, and some other bits.
And the foul funeral. Yeah. But you are more than welcome to come back next week, the week after, 3 weeks after that, whenever you want.
I think I want to play against Matt, because I actually want to have some time where I can play the game, and I think that if Matt is here, and I can actually, like, I think he'll motivate me to get really competitive, and just by annoying me, probably.
I mean, Matt, you're out there. I've seen you. If you want to come on next week and we can get a clash going, I'm here for the moderation. I got you guys.